Right, here we go. It's Monday, the 23rd of June, 2025, and a very interesting thing happened to me yesterday. So let me just get straight to it, and then I'm going to share with you the interesting thing that happened to me yesterday. Yes, here we go. Hang on.
It's the start of the week. Grab your coffee cups. It's Magic Monday Live.
Okay, let's get straight to this because I don't have much time today. So I've written a few things down. Let's bring up my notes there. I don't know about you, but yesterday morning I woke up feeling, after seeing the news, feeling that we were in a bit more of a divided world. It was one of those moments where it just felt pretty awful, didn't it? And seeing what's happening, and yes, I am talking about what happened in Iran, and I am talking about the escalation of things. I listened to a podcast that was one of those emergency ones that was done straight afterwards, and it was Rory Stewart said he can't see a purpose of the United Nations anymore. What's the purpose of the United Nations? And when you hear something like that, so that was set up to avoid wars from taking place, to try and bring peace around the world. And someone like Rory Stewart saying you can't really see the point in it anymore because a handful of people are just ignoring it. Anyway, I digress for a second. So it was an interesting day yesterday, and it was one of those things where you could end up watching the news 10 times, but the basic message was there that things aren't looking particularly good. And it's always the bit that upsets me is where it's the innocence that that occurs. The innocent people, are the ones who really suffer. Innocent people suffer in wars. And I thought we're going to end up with this situation where more and more people are going to end up with more and more problems. And I don't want this to be a sad Magic Monday, and you'll see why in the moment. There's actually quite a bit of hope. I'm going to share with you the piece of hope in a second. And I think about my Iranian friends. I've got some really great friends who are from Iran, and the Iranian people, as far as I can see, it's only my personal knowledge, on a whole, are lovely people. Very bright, whip smart. I think that's an expression sometimes people use. And the more I started to think about, I wonder how they're feeling today. And I messaged a couple and just sent a little WhatsApp message, and I basically got the thanks, Michael, oh my goodness, that type of stuff back. But anyway, I got to the end of yesterday, and Christy and I decided that we were going to go out for a walk. So I've been to see my mum, had a lovely chat with her. She's worried sick. Of course she is. Bless her. Hello, Mum. Don't worry. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And we went for a walk. We went for a walk along Tyne Green. So Tyne Green is a park next to the Tyne. You may have seen Tyne Green if you ever watch Vera. Vera's often walking along there. She often has someone in their late teens with her walking along, and she'll go, "Are you now then, pet? Is there something you need to tell me?" The Vera. Is there something you need to tell us? I know. Just tell me. It's going to be better in the long run. So anyway, you'll see Vera walking along Tyne Green, and we were walking along, and we saw a few groups of people who were having barbecues and were having little community things. And there was one group in particular who had the most beautiful setup. So they had fantastic 2 big picnic rugs, and they had wonderful cakes, and they had tea, and they were clearly a family of Middle Eastern descent. Now, I don't know where they were from or anything like that. And I have this thing where I always want to welcome people into my community. So I had a big smile. Hi, how are you doing? And as I went past, I noticed this cake. Now, this is the thing. I noticed this cake, and the cake looked amazing. It was one of those round cakes. It was chocolate, and it just looked fantastic. And I probably looked at it a little bit too long. And I said, I'm really sorry. I just can't help but admire your cake. And within a nanosecond, this bloke jumped up and he went, "You've got to have a piece. It's great." So I was like, "Oh, yeah, I would." You don't need a lot of time to think about whether you want to have a piece of cake or not. So I said, "Yeah, I would like a piece of cake." They said, "Let me get some for your wife as well." So they cut 2 pieces of this cake. I had one bite. It was unbelievable. And one of the ladies who was there, she said, this woman here, she makes the cakes. She's the best cake maker. She's absolutely incredible. You've got to try some of the baklava." And I was like, "Oh no, really, I can't. Please do." And they got this beautiful plate, lots of gold embossing and stuff around it. And this 4 pieces of baklava, 2 bits of pistachio and 2 round pieces. And I took a bit of the pistachio one and had a bite. I've never been a big fan of baklava. Do you know why? I've been eating bad baklava. This was unreal. It was like a in your mouth. Just incredible. And as I bit it, the whole family, I think it was probably family, maybe extended family, around about 8 or 9 of them, they just all looked at me with this sort of, "Yeah, we know. Christine had one as well. And it was just so great. I said, "That's so kind. Thank you so much." And then obviously the elder of the family, maybe the dad or the granddad or whoever he was, he said, "We're Kurdish." So we're like, "Oh, wow, brilliant. Well, thank you for sharing. That was amazing." And off we walked, and we walked for about, another 2 miles. Turn round. We're coming back. And as we came back, the heavens opened. It was one of those days where, we're having big storms. And these big storms came out. Absolutely torrential rain, bleating down. Thick, heavy rain. We were trying to stay under the trees and stuff. And then we went along and we just walked past, and we could look. Well, now we're at the other side of the park next to the river, and we looked over, and there was these people stood under a tree. And we're like, we don't even know how they've got here. I wonder if they might live up in Hexham, or they might have got a train in or whatever. And so we went around the car, and we got the car, and we drove back along about 400 or 500 meters. Christine went to the boot of the car, and she got out 2 umbrellas. And she picked up these umbrellas, and she ran across the park and went to give them to this family. And they said, "It's all right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much for your kindness." I'm like, "No, honestly, it's fine. We're very happy for you to have a couple of umbrellas out the boot of our car. That's fine." And said, "Yeah." I said, we've been talking about you." They've been talking about us, and we've been talking about them. And they said, "We're all right. We're going to be fine. We're just going to stand under the trees and have a cup of tea." Under the trees, there's still rain coming down, having a cup of tea, and then we're heading home. And Christine said, "Oh, where's home?" So we live in Gateshead, but we came out here today because we heard it was such a nice park. And we had Christine, I was still in the car at that part. I wasn't getting out in the rain. Christine had a little 5-minute chat with them, and then came back to the car. And I've got to say, it was one of those lovely, lovely moments where, as much as I'd woken up in the morning and felt like, the world had gone a bit like that, by the time we had a conversation with just a handful of people, 2 families, 2 groups of people, just having a conversation, you know what? We agree on much more than we think, don't we? We have core beliefs that are the same. We want to look after family. We want to be well. We want to care for the planet. We want to share things. We have so much in common. And we have to look for the things that we have in common. And I wrote in my journal last night, I wrote down what I was going to talk about today, which I'm reading from now. But I also wrote, We have to concentrate on this. We agree on more than we think. I have to concentrate on this. I have to concentrate on this. Whether you're a far-right extremist, whether you're a person who wants to change the world through force, to your ideology and want everyone just to think your way, is it not the case that everyone's just doing their best? Probably. We're just doing our best. And as much as I obviously cannot subscribe to much of the horrors, any of the horrors that are taking place at the moment, I have to understand that the vast majority of people, the 99.9% of people, are just doing their best. They're just trying to be, good people doing good things. I have to go. I've just seen the time, and I appreciate you watched this today. I'd love to know what you think. I'd love to know, am I being a bit fanciful with this? Is it right? What's your examples? Let me know. I'll play some music, and I'll see you again next week.